Campbell's Comments Equestrian. I'm here at Hilltop Horsemanship Pty Ltd. Elle Moro, much better than the first name I gave you with the cutout version. People might see the cutouts. Firstly, thank you very much for having me at your property.
Thank you for coming. It's a bit of an exciting, I suppose, program or future that we've spoken about that we can offer people.
Absolutely. We've done a podcast. If people want to know the background behind Elle and what she stands for, and probably what Campbell's Comments Equestrian stands for as well, please tune into that podcast. It's available on all my platforms, both Facebook and YouTube at Campbell's Comments and the likes. Plus I have a website, which is campbellscomments.com. Plus you have your own sites where it's available as well.
Yeah, so on social media, we're Hilltop Horsemanship on Facebook, Instagram, and also Twitter. And I've also shared the podcast on those platforms, so hopefully people can find it amongst all of our socials.
And it's the sort of thing, some people might say, why do I want to listen to that? I've had varying different people tune into it and they're like, wow, and then they want to get involved with this. So one of the things we're doing here today is horsemanship, which is what you're about, and showcasing what you do. But there's another side to that, is actually to try and help someone that may be having trouble, be able to help themselves watching the video or contact you. And that's what Campbell's Comments Equestrian is about, is to raise awareness and, I suppose, promote the good sides of harness racing. I was going to say the good sides of horses, full stop, in any code. But also, if you are having issues, there are plenty of other ways around it.
Definitely. I think this is a great opportunity, not just for myself, but for so many people to showcase what we do and how we can help people, most of all, enjoy their horses in a nice, safe manner. So definitely happy for people to contact me if they've got any questions about the video that will follow all of this, or if they're having troubles with their horses, or, you know, yearlings want lessons. Definitely open for discussion, because it's all about seeing people out there enjoying their horse and staying in the wonderful industry that we love.
Absolutely, and we do, and I'm a horse dentist by trade. Some people will know that. You've done other jobs as well, but we're trying something different, and I'm actually excited. We've done a video. We've already done the video. You may see me fingers scroll across the front a couple of times. It's the first time I've done anything like that, but I'm rapt that you're open enough to try it.
Yeah, I think it was good.
And it's come up pretty good. There's a couple of little glitches, but other than that, people I think will enjoy it. If you are watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button too. Ben will tell us off for that one as well. It's one of the challenges, isn't it, to starting up a business, is to be able to market yourself when you're not used to it.
Yeah, and get your name out there. I suppose it's hard talking about yourself, but ultimately that's what we need to do. We need to promote the really positive things that we do. And I suppose the way we do that these days is through social platforms like, you know, YouTube, Twitter, those kind of things. That's how you engage, I suppose, with your clients.
Absolutely. Kelly Partners are on my shirt there. And also Barrastock. I've got some exciting stuff coming up with Barrastock into the future. Today, our video, you and me could rabbit on and talk on for a long time. And we've got different platforms, but today's video, what can people expect to get out of it? It goes for about 25-30 minutes at the end of this. What can people expect to get out of it?
I suppose it's really addressing the one thing that at any time in our careers working with horses, whether it's from a dentist to being a dressage rider, loss of confidence, and the real basics about how you can get your confidence back. We all lose confidence for a variety of reasons, and I'm hoping that keeping it really simple while working with your horse will give people some skills that they can go and practice and teach their horse, so that they have the basics confidence when things start to go wrong, that they can really step up and remain really safe and enjoy their horses.
One of the things I did love that you were saying in there quite regularly was the KISS, keep it simple. Like you said that 3, 4, 5 times. And I think that's pretty important badging, basically, to get back to people to keep it simple. It doesn't have to be hard. You don't have to completely change your diet and do heaps of holus bolus things. Perhaps sometimes just have a step back. Maybe watch this video and take something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. I have really focused my training techniques for when I educate horses privately, but also when I instruct students or work with people and their horses. Keep it really simple. I think it's really easy to get carried away with terminology and flash words and everything like that, and then sometimes people end up standing there with their horse at the end of a long rope, literally saying to themselves, I have no idea what anybody's talking about.
They're trying to think that flash word.
Yep. So keep it simple, so that you can get a really good result, so that you and your horse walk away with a smile and saying, we nailed that.
If someone watches this video and they don't agree with it or they don't like it, that's not an issue. because it may not work for them. Because the one thing about horses, there is so many different methods. People have so many different ways about doing things, and they have their own beliefs, I suppose, too, which is it's one of my frustrations sometimes with horses, that people have a belief and that's it, it can't change. You have to be open for change. By doing this video, we're hoping that people will just get something out of it. They might get the whole lot out of it, but they might only just get that 1%er.
Definitely, and I think I often speak to people when they inquire about lessons, and one of the things I say to people is book in 1 or 2 lessons, have a think about it, and if I'm the right person for you and your horse, that's wonderful. Let's, give it a real red hot crack. But also, if my theories, my techniques, the way I teach isn't, I'm more than happy for you to say we just don't click. Because I always say to people, listen to what people have got to say, because you might walk away going, I'm going to do that, I love that theory, it works, it's simple. But you might also walk away going, I would never do that with my horse again. You've still learned something.
Yep.
You've still learned something. You're like, I've tried it, it didn't work, I won't do that again. And that's just as much as going, I tried it, it worked, I want to do that every time.
What we did is aimed around the first couple of times you do with a horse. You can go through the process. You actually went through it in the video. People will have to listen to it again. But basically, Wilbur has been here for a little while.
Yeah, Wilbur is a private client's horse that I'm rehoming or selling and educating on behalf of the Racing Connections. So he has been here for about 3 weeks. So has the basics, but he's still quite a raw product. And I think he probably is at a stage of his education where a lot of people maybe become a little bit stuck at home with their horses. They've got that basic bond with their horse, but they maybe don't have the skills where they're happy to push outside the comfort zone. And obviously in the video, we're in the comfortable zone, the round yard. We had the conversation with each other about what we're going to do and who needs to be where so that we're both safe. And so it was a real comfort zone, but they're the skills that people need so that they can say, okay, I'm going to go to Pony Club, or I'm going to meet my friend for a trail ride in the bush. So yeah, that's Wilbur's story. I think he's a really good example where maybe a lot of people are stuck at.
Absolutely. Just on that too, this was our first time physically doing anything together. You use Russell Shishka as your horse tennis, so even that part we've never done anything at all together. So the video is a little bit choppy from time to time. I wasn't sure what to expect. You weren't sure what to expect from myself. So if it is a bit choppy, people say, oh, it could be better. Yeah, definitely could be better. But that's not what Campbell's Comments and Questions about, and it's also not what you're about, where it's about getting out the word. I've lost the word that's there, but you get out the what's the
content.
Word? Yes, the content. I couldn't. It just left me. These things happen to me, Elle, from time to time, which is strange. What's in my head, how things could leave it. But to get it out there, get your messaging out there, and that's the whole idea of this. We have other ideas, or we have other, I suppose, parts to this series. This is not going to be a 1-part series by any stretch. We're going to come back next week, and we're going to do part 2. Is that going to be with Wilbur?
It will be with Wilbur, and it will be transitioning everything we've done today under saddle. So I think definitely using the same horse will hopefully help, and it'll be very interesting to see. He'll be at week 4 by next week, so things will be probably even a little bit more clearer for him. So that's good to see that, like anybody else, my horses don't come as a finished product. Every week they get better. Every week I come across new hurdles and new things that we need to improve. So the chances are next week Wilbur will be kicking even more goals than he did today, but there's also the chance that we've hit a speed bump and we've found something that myself and Wilbur have had to work on. Yep,
and so that's hopefully the second week, and then the third week with toying around in our head, we may go live depending on the feedback we get, and the people's input and all the rest, and we may go live one afternoon when everyone's at home, and they can fire questions in. We might have a couple of other people here as well that we can try and mix it up a little bit, I suppose.
Keep people engaged.
Yeah, and do it a little bit differently. Again, something that Campbell's Comments can do. Elle, I really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. I know you were a little bit nervous. She doesn't like the sound of her own voice. I think her voice is quite good. I think she does a good job, but she's done a very, very good job. I appreciate you giving me a crack, and I hope people have actually enjoyed it. We're going to play the video, but yeah, as I said, we'll be back one day next week, and we'll go from there.
Wonderful. Look forward to hearing what people have got to say.
Campbell's Comments Equestrian. We're out to try and do different things from different times. I'm catching up today with Elle Moro, and whether we use this audio footage or not, we're not sure going forward, but we're going to sit down and have a chat. But Elle, you're Hilltop Horsemanship Pty Ltd. We must make sure we put the that part on the end.
The official parts.
We are designed for standard breeds, I suppose, and well, not standard breeds, for horses, full stop. You do a lot with the Hero program and the likes. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different, just basically getting back to basics. It's not going to be highfalutin, what maybe a lot of people are thinking and are going to see is going to happen here today. It's basically back to basics, try and get people's confidence, which means then they don't leave the horses.
That's right, exactly. I think confidence in anyone can easily be lost, and we can talk about that a little bit later. And I think that the way we can really build our confidence is to have basic control of your horse, and it doesn't have to be overly fancy or tricky. We can keep it really simple. It keeps it easy for the handler or the person learning, but most importantly, the horse really understands as well, and then you can really start to work as a team.
Before you go too far, number one priority, what's the horse's name?
So there you go. This is Wilbur. He raced as Wake Up Wilbur. He retired from the track. Heather Morrissey trained him and her husband. He retired from the track due to some health concerns, but he's been given the all clear for a life after racing. He has been in work approximately 3 weeks. So what you're seeing here is a horse that's had a really good start with the skills I'm going to show you, but still a raw product. So that might work in our favour. We might see him do a few things wrong, and we can all learn off that and see how that it's nothing to put us off. We just keep progressing.
Absolutely. He is not a Hero program horse.
No.
And this is one thing we want to probably try and get around. There are a lot of people that do the Hero, and there are a lot of people that rehome harness racing horses as well.
Definitely.
And they're a beautiful animal for that. So he's not a Hero program horse, but we will possibly be doing stuff here with the Hero program over the journey.
Definitely. So he's a private horse that is being rehomed on behalf of his racing connections, which is really exciting to see that Hero is a wonderful opportunity for life after racing. But as you said, opens the door for numerous different paths, not just Hero.
Rightio. It's warm out here in the sun. If I keep talking to you,
we'll do that later.
We'll keep going. And as I said, we're not sure what we're going to do with this video as such. We'll possibly be just talking over it, but we might release it as another one going forward as well. We won't be editing it up too much if we do. We'd like to try and keep things naturally. Now, this horse, you said, has been in work for 3 weeks, so he's probably already covered over a few of the stages you're going to go through.
So all the skills, we're going to cover 3 main skills about controlling different parts of the horse's body. Wilbur has done all of these tasks, so he will be a good example of really basic starting points. So with confidence really comes from control, and control of your horse's body. I like to break it down really simply into 3 parts. If we can control our horse's nose, separately control their shoulder, and thirdly control their hind, no matter what situations ourselves or the horse or us together end in, we're able to guide them out of it safely. So I like to keep it simple, and when I go into a new environment or situation with my horse, I need to know that I can ask for their nose, their shoulder or their hind at any time, and the horse is willingly to give that to me. So I think first of all is I use a bag, people call it a flag, a bag, all those kind of things.
Might just get you lifted off the ground a little bit for us.
It's nothing flash, it's literally a harness racing driving whip with a couple of bags on the end. And what I use this is my pressure. So I'm going to apply the pressure to the horse, and what I'm really looking for is an opportunity to release. So when Wilbur does the right thing, whether generally that's a shift of weight or a give to pressure, I'm looking at an opportunity to release and let him know that he's done the right thing. So horses learn when there's a release. Very similar to people. We don't like pressure, we like life to be pretty cruisy, and they're the same.
Just before you go too far, and I don't want to interrupt you too much because we'll end up being out here all day. You've purposely, one thing I've noticed you've been doing now, when you stand there, you're patting him and you're engaging with him. It's one thing that a lot of people probably miss, even though you've got a camera and you've been sidetracked. What you actually done, even from a starting point, is a great starting point, isn't it? Don't get in there and try and get the whole product done. Just just get to know the horse.
Yep, definitely. And I want him to want to spend time and want to please me. A little bit of background, Wilbur lacks in a little bit of confidence, so hopefully down the track we can do a series or something about building the horse's confidence. But he actually lacked a little bit of confidence, which his racing connections made me aware that he really got his confidence from the handler or the driver, and in this case the rider. So just spending time and wanting him to be around me is just as important. So there's no better time really to do that while you're setting yourself up and thinking about exactly what you're going to do. So first of all, in order to use the bag, we actually don't want our horse scared of the bag. We want him to be aware that the bag is there and we want him to react to it. But I don't want Wilbur flying around the outside of the round yard. It adds adrenaline to him, but also then it adds adrenaline to me, which when somebody's lacking confidence, that obviously isn't a great mixture. So first of all, we're going to introduce the bag. Now be mindful, I want to set myself up for success just as much as Wilbur. So if I was to have a horse that was completely overreactive or scared, or I was intimidated by that horse or the person was, I would suggest to put a bit of material on the end rather than a bag. Make it easier for yourself.
A little bit less noise.
A little bit less noise, a little bit less pressure. You'll hear me talk a lot about the fact that I want my horse to end on a good note, but when I'm teaching somebody what to do, I want them to leave the round yard with a smile as well. I don't want to put either of us or the student in a situation where they leave going, I was scared the whole time, because no one's confidence benefits from that. So keeping yourself safe, try to stand to the side of the horse, okay? Either side, but obviously a horse is a flight animal. If he gets scared, he's going to want to run away from it. I don't want to block my horse. So I'm going to stand to the side and I'm going to give Wilbur in this instance an out. If he wants to move his feet away from the bag, I'm not going to panic, I'm not going to hold him. I'm just casually going to move with him. And when he decides to stop, I'm going to take the bag away, which is the release. That will teach him that when he's worried or scared, stopping's okay. Now, we all probably know that if our horse stops in a situation that goes a little bit wrong, we can all deal with that. So just quickly, how you introduce the bag is you let them smell it, and then take it away. So we don't want to flood him. We don't want to rub him all over straight away and come in guns blazing. We want to build it up so that he is already presenting quite relaxed. So I want to try to maintain this throughout the whole session. We just gently work our way. Good boy. So on a side note, because Wilbur's being the perfect little example, anytime your horse licks, chews, yawns, has a deep breath, stop, give him a scratch on the wither and reward him. Take it as a bit of a moment for both of you to take a deep breath and go, we're processing, we're learning. Because that's him communicating to me that, oh, life's okay, all you want me to do is stand still, easy. So I don't want to interrupt that learning process.
Is there a reason behind the lick? Is there a scientific reason or an Elle Moro reason?
No, there's two arguments. More of your natural horsemanship kind of people, and I suppose a lot of what I'm modelled about, say it's a processing, a thinking and a relaxing, but there also is a train of thought, and they have some scientific sort of background to say that it's actually a stress side of things. So I suppose it's open to interpretation. If Wilbur is an example, then I wouldn't say that this horse is presenting in any way stressed or distressed. So I love to look at it as they're processing and learning what I've taught them. So yep. Depends what train of thought you want to listen to. So we're staying to the side, we're letting Wilbur take in the bag so that when we use it throughout our 3 exercises, he's not petrified, he's not running away from it, he's quite accepting of it. Horses don't work like us. We have to teach them everything both sides. So when you go to the other side to do any of the 3 exercises we do, you'll see that I go back to the beginning and start again. So it's really important to make sure that you have the control over your horse on both sides, because Wilbur actually mentally, this is a scientific fact, mentally he can't swap what he learnt on that side to this side. We as humans can. If we learn to pick up our left or right foot, we automatically know we can do it on the other side. He is not the same. So we have to take the time to do it on both sides. This might take people 20 minutes, 20 seconds, 20 sessions. Neither of them is the right answer or the wrong answer. You keep doing this exercise until your horse is relaxed. Horses that are really agitated, this might be all you do for session one. What we're going to jam pack in today is stuff that might take people a week to get their horse doing, and that's okay. We're just jam packing it. So first of all, we want to be able to get our horse out of our personal space. So a lot of people, you ask them, why are you lacking confidence? I feel like my horse comes in on me. They're in my space. They step on my feet. They bite me. All reasonable reasons to be hesitant or lack confidence with your horse. So number one is we need to be able to get the horse out of our space. And the way we do that is use a backup button. So like anything, we have to teach our horse. So backup is really good because automatically you're shifting the whole horse out of your personal space, and rare that a horse can actually do anything when they're going backwards. It takes a horse a lot of energy to go backwards, so the likelihood of them doing anything else is very rare. So simple backup button. We turn around, we face the back of the horse because I want him to go backwards, so I'm going to send the energy. Hand up to his ear. We step back. Now what we're wanting is his weight to shift back. So if he doesn't go back, we're just going to gently tap him. And as soon as he steps back, big release. The release being flag down, hand down, big pat. And then he goes, oh, okay, there you go. And we do that again. Hand up to the ear, pressure, back, back. And you'll see the more that you do it with any horse, and Wilbur's done it a fair bit, that you get to the point where you actually don't need the bag. And that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is that you and your horse are working in such a team that everything happens almost effortlessly. So I now know that in any situation, and I know this because I've put Wilbur in a lot of situations, that if anything starts to go wrong, I know that I can stop, shorten my contact, and ask my horse to go backwards, and he'll happily, no resistiveness, move out of my space. So that's number one for building confidence, is knowing that when asked, you can get your horse out of the way.
Can I just,
yeah.
I don't like stopping you, and I try not to, but your initial teaching him backwards was one step.
Yep.
The next time you spoke us through it was 3 and 4 steps. Is that one of the clear messaging, is not to go for glory all in the first hit?
Definitely. One step, or I like to even say one try. A horse trying in their initial stages, just like a handler or a rider, the try is just important as the horse or the handler and rider actually doing the task. If he was really struggling with the concept and had no idea, but he tried to go backwards, I would even release that and reward that. Just as a rider, if you try to go over something or try to have a trot, that's just as important as actually trotting. So yep, reward one step, reward the try. And it's only when it becomes really fluent and easy for the horse that we can up the ante and say, okay, well, let's go for 2 or 3 or 4 strides. Good boy. Next one, so I know now that if I need to, I can get Wilbur out of my space, out of somebody else's space, so that I'm safe, because that's the priority, and that's what's going to make me feel confident. If I'm safe and I have control, I'm going to feel confident to ask my horse to do more and more. Now the next stage is we're going to break our horse into 3 pieces. We're going to focus on controlling the nose, controlling the shoulder, and then controlling the hind in no particular order. First of all, we're going to go with the hind. So generally, people say if they've got a horse that kicks or something, I'm scared of their hind end, because they're the legs that horses tend to throw around. So what we need to be able to do is ask Wilbur to specifically move his hind out of my personal space. So we've done the backup, which is moving the whole horse out of our personal space. And now we're going to do, Wilbur, can you move your hind out of my personal space? So what we're going to do is we're going to put our hand up to the ear, because that's just keeping his front end still, because I want this to be a hind end movement. I'm going to change my body language, because if I stay here, he's going back up. So I'm going to specifically say no, Wilbur, changing my body language. So I'm taking a step out so I can move my energy from back to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm looking for his back legs to cross over. So if my legs were his, I'm looking for him to cross over as he shifts away from myself. So what we're going to do is change where we're standing, hand up to the ear, and look at his hind. And as he steps around, I'm gently just using that bag and going with him. Good boy. Good man.
So Elle, if I could just get you, and we're not going to edit this part at all, but just because I am now behind him, so that's where you'd normally stand, just so people can get an understanding of how far apart from that horse you were to get him to engage. Just that it's just, sometimes camera shots aren't all that easy, and people will be appreciative. I'm working in a round yard, so we're trying to work around a horse and do the demonstration at the same time, so it does get a bit tricky. But so that's about where you would be there now.
Yeah, so I've set myself up to where I would be at the back up, and I've literally just taken one step across.
One step. Yep.
I want to still have enough feel on my horse's ear.
Yep.
So that if he was to walk forward too much, I can just gently correct him. There you go. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. Good man.
And
Key there too is to continuously stand in the same position. I actually have to move my feet. So we need to be mindful of how we set our horse up for success as well. So when I take that step out, I can't plant because I'm not sending him. I'm asking him to move. So I need to constantly be moving my feet with him, which he's nailing it. Good boy. Perfect. So ultimately, going back to before, if you're teaching your horse this for the first time, or checking that you can shift your horse's hind end out of your personal space for the first time, I would literally aim for one step and then take the horse for a walk and give them a break. Wilbur's been doing this for 3 weeks, and we're trying to give you a little bit more insight, but one stride is absolutely plenty. And like I said, it's exactly the same, but we're just going to mirror it on the other side. And as I come around here, I'm assuming that Wilbur actually doesn't know what I'm asking. That one was perfect. And again, good boy.
And you're looking for that crossover of the feet?
Definitely, crossover. Again, any horse, when you're teaching them, that we would reward because it's a try. But Wilbur, we're expecting now 3 weeks, he's consistently been asked to shift his hind, is we're looking for that crossover. Very normal that a horse has a good and bad side, just like we are either morning or afternoon people. So if he's a little bit wobbly on that side, which he definitely was compared to this side, I don't stress it. I just practice that side twice as much as I practice this side. So we're now thinking overall, when in a situation, I can get my horse out of my space on the ground. So an example of when you would use that would be you're going for a walk, you're leading your horse to line up at Pony Club, the flagging on the outside of the arena flaps, your horse gets a fright. Instead of him running you over, dragging you off, pulling you to the side, you've got the skills to turn around and go back up. The flags aren't going to kill you. Deep breath, reset, go again. Obviously, you might have to back him up 4, 5, 6, 7 times to get his attention, but you know that he's got a backup button. You've got him tied up, for example, he becomes agitated, starts to kick out at flies. You know that if you just, imagine he's tied up here, you just step around and ask for that hind to move, the area that's kicking out is no longer in my safety zone. So you can see how just having these basic skills on the ground keep me safe and make it easier for me to progress and put myself and my horse in more situations safely, which ultimately builds confidence. The next one is the shoulder, and I suppose the shoulder, the best reason to be able to control the shoulder is to stop your horse jumping on top of you. Horses jump on top of you, A, because they've got a fright and they're a flight animal, B, because they don't have confidence in themselves, so they want to jump on you and say, save me. So the B issue we can address down the track with building his confidence or any other horse's confidence. But what we can do is we can teach him that when I put pressure on your shoulder, you're to step away from me. So if he was becoming really agitated because the neighbour's goat come to the fence line, which sometimes they do, instead of me getting in a bit of a wrestle and holding against him and me putting heaps of pressure on each other, and there I'm ending in a dangerous situation, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to say, keep moving forward but move your shoulder out. Sorry, exactly what we did on the back legs. We're looking for Wilbur to cross his front legs. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask him to shift the shoulder, and then hopefully he goes, yep, no worries, and he shifts away from the pressure. As the release this time, I'm going to put the bag down and walk with him. So I'm going to say, move your shoulder across. He's going to say, yep, no worries. And then we're just going to let him walk off. So same thing, the hand is the director. It says, this is where I want you to go. The bag is the pressure. Now I'm remembering my energy. So as he shifts across, I'm going to go with him. So I'm going to focus on the shoulder. Good man. So if you imagine you're leading your horse and he starts to get a little bit on top of you because, as I said, he's scared of the goats or something like that, what you can do is as you're leading him, you can say across, across, across. There you go, beautiful. And you can see how straight away he's getting out of my zone. So again, I'm really safe. Good boy. So you can see how really simple movements of your horse make you really safe. And obviously these skills need to be learned in a round yard or a small paddock before you can then try to use them when the goats are at the fence. I don't take my horses, for example, out in the bush or for an offside outing unless I know I have all these control buttons. And if they don't have them in a round yard where they're really relaxed and comfortable, as you can see, Wilbur's really comfortable in here. No doubt if we took him down to the corner of the road with cars going past where he's never been before, we would get a different horse. And that's okay, but because I'm confident that these skills, although he would have higher adrenaline, be more unsettled, I'm confident that he would still remember these skills because they're consolidated training tools. So a little side note about consolidating training skills, they need to be able to do this 3 times in a row consistently in 3 different places. 3 different places not being in the round yard, on the outside of the round yard. I'm saying that he needs to be able to do all these skills at home, then he needs to be able to do these skills at Pony Club, and then he needs to be able to do all these skills when we're riding in the bush or if we stop for lunch in the bush. When he can do it in 3 really clearly different places, consistently correct, 3 times in a row, I'll tell you that your horse has got a nice consolidated training tool. So we've done shoulder across, controlled the hind, asked the horse to completely shift his whole body weight out of. The final thing we're going to do is I want to know that my horse will follow his nose on the ground. And this, if anything, is the most important skill that we want our horse to have on the ground and then when we're riding them. So 2 reasons. One is I want to know that if it does all go completely south and I've tried shifting his weight or I haven't been able to put myself in a position where I can control his hind safely or move his shoulder or send him backwards, the last resort is if I pull his nose, I want to know that he's coming to the field. So it doesn't matter where. Now the instance we would do this is if your horse was cow kicking out or pig rooting on the lunge or something like that, we want to be able to say, last resort, pull his nose, and everything that is generally dangerous about a horse is coming out of your personal space. So the way we do that really simply is flexion. So flexion is a following the nose exercise. So I'm standing out of the way because, good boy, because I have spent this whole session and the whole 3 weeks with Wilbur saying to him, you can't come in my personal space. It's now unfair to stand here and say, please come into my personal space. So it's being really clear with him. So I'm stepping out of, because I want his nose to come around and end up here. So I'm making it really clear to Wilbur that I'm inviting you into a space that you're allowed into. Contact or feel. So we're going to go out wide, and as he gives his nose, I'm coming up, mimicking where my hands would be when I ride him. Now I hold this flexion for as long as I like. Now Wilbur does this every day, so you can see that he's quite comfortable staying there. New horse, if a new horse who's never done flexion before got to here, I'd be happy with that. And then the next time I might ask for here and here. End goal is that we definitely end up to where we are when we ride him, because that's going to be the number one thing we teach once we get to ridden, so that you're confident. It's an emergency stop button. On the ground, I can pull my handbrake on, which is pull my horse's nose around. At least it gets everything that's dangerous or unsafe away from me. And then when we get to ride him, it's the same thing. This is my handbrake. So we'll just do it on the other side. Again, every horse has a stiffer side than others, and that's okay. We're gonna go, let's stand behind the personal space. We get our feel. We go out wide. As soon as we feel him and see him give his nose, I slowly start to come up to where I would be. Now this side, he wants to take the feel back, so I just hold, and then I go, yep, no worries. So he's not allowed to take it back. I release it back to him.
So he was preempting you releasing, so you just held him that little bit longer.
Yeah, so he was going clever, and you can see sometimes when I even go up here, he wants to follow me. So he was going, I've done the flexion, give me the release, and I just subtly, kindly went, not yet. This is really important to mix up how long you hold it before you release, which goes a little bit against everything else we've said about reward the try, reward the first step. It will make a little bit more sense down the track when we ride him, but this one particularly, we need to be able to hold him for different amounts of times, because this again is our handbrake, our one rein stop. So everything else we look for the release, maybe it's 1, 2, 3 strides. This one we're very clear to say you can only have your nose back when I want to give it to you. Good boy.
And he's a lot better that time.
A lot better, yep. And now he'll wait for the release, so you can see he's not fighting the feel, he's almost asleep.
I think the one thing people need to be aware of too, like for us to do this, we needed a horse that we know what can do.
Yes. Definitely.
Going forward, Campbell's comments a question, I'm more than happy, we'll try it, but trying to make this channel and this environment safe for everyone, so that children stay in the sport, older people stay in the sport, or the industry, or the lifestyle, whichever way we want to call it. So Wilbur's been perfect, and
he's been really good.
He's our starting point. That's probably the best way of putting Wilbur, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I chose him because I knew that I thought possibly he would give us a few more wrong answers, to be honest, and maybe we could build from that. But I knew that he would give me the right answer at some stage in everything I was asking for him. It would be wonderful down the track to show all this maybe on a horse that's had none of this training, you know, if one that's fresh off the track, or a breaker here of any breed that's all new to this. But to get the most out of these sessions so that people can get the best out of what they're trying to learn, I think Wilbur's a really good example. He's comfortable in this round yard, you know, it really is in his comfort zone, which is a good way to show everybody what we're looking at.
We definitely can do some things around it. It already got me thinking. I'm sure people have been a little bit frustrated, probably even by my camera work, that it just drops every now and then and all the rest. But it's just a trying situation. But I think it's great insight so far, Elle. Anyway, did you have more to show?
No, I think
that's very good.
Yep, go.
We'll actually we'll stop this video now. I've got to edit it up anyway because we had a delay in the middle part of it. But we'll, if people have listened to it, this is just the round yard part. Myself and Elle will be sitting up underneath the deck in the nice shade, which will be very nice, I must say. And just a little bit of an in and out. But yeah, if watching this video on its own, this has been Elle Moro from Hilltop Horsemanship Pty Ltd, and you'll be able to get in touch with Elle through my Facebook page or through her own Facebook page. But please just hopefully people have enjoyed it. Elle, thank you very much.
No worries. Good job, Wilby.